some of my pens are running out of ink, so it's time for a cleaning session and a change. But before I do that, I wanted to give you a little review on how things worked out for me in June. I haven't really filmed a thought out, currently inked video for the month of June. I usually keep my notebook in here, so I thought I filmed and shared a currently inked update with you. That was almost a full month ago when I filmed this. And I just stuck the paper into my notebook, and I thought we'd go from here and check out what I had written down. So I wanted to let you know and tell you how things went for me in June, or up to now, which was mostly June. So that's why the title. I've already had some ideas for July, and I filmed an Inky Thoughts video and some possibilities, and also shared ink swatching on my Ko-fi. So if you want to check that out and want to know what I'm thinking about using in July, then why don't you head on over there? I will link the specific post in the description box below. So, to be honest, I feel like I talked about many of these pens for quite a while. Let me quickly tell you what I used, or what I'm currently using. I think I'm basically swapping between two of my Rickshaw Sinclair pen cases. They have been amazing ever since I got my first one at the San Francisco Pen Show in 2022. This one is a houndstooth one, and compared to the other material, this is stiffer, and I put this together myself. I added a green tag and this, I don't know what the color is, teal lining. The other one that I own has pink, so I thought that was a really good contrast. And these are all the pens that I have accumulated or inked up throughout the month of June. I have actually written one dry, but I still have enough ink left, so I can show you a writing sample really quickly. And then this is my everyday carry fountain pen. It's almost empty. It is filled with platinum carbon black, and this is a TWSBI Mini in black with an extra fine nib. I never talk about this because it's always inked. But yeah, I'm gonna probably clean this out in in July sometime, and then maybe swap out the nib for. I have a full grip section like that I can open right here, and then just screw on another one with the reverse architect nib. I want to see how it feels having that on here as my everyday carry. That is completely tangential. I really don't know what to say about many of those pens. I'm just going to go in order. I am writing down notes on each pen in my Hobonichi Weeks now. I used to write those down in my YouTube notebook, but I feel like it makes more sense to have those notes and thoughts in a fountain pen related journal, right? So I'm gonna put that up here, and it's calming down. It doesn't really matter. The first one that I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to put them left and right. Whoa, is this Opus 88 Koloro in red. It has a medium steel nib. It's a number 5 nib. As you can see, there is ink on there that has dried a little up a little. It's quite hot here, and I have noticed with some of my pens, this one in particular, that if I leave them uncapped for a thinking second, some of them have hard starts, which is something new that I'm experiencing. I haven't noticed that last year, but I don't think I consciously observed how I'm using my fountain pens as I'm doing it right now. So I don't know for sure that this is a new thing, maybe in a new climate, or if this is something that just happens always in the summer. This pen I inked with J. Urban Rouge Grenade. It's a really dark, brown-leaning red ink. I filled it about half a barrel, and I think I have about a third left. So I'm going to add 1/3 barrel back here. And this was a super surprising experience. In March, I swapped, or April, I don't even remember. I swapped pens, 2 pens with Sarah from Ginger Peachy Pens. And she borrowed this one. And she really loved this pen. And I was on the verge of actually selling this pen. And so when I got it back, I thought, next time I need a pen inked up, I want to ink up this pen because I really want to know what her experience was. I didn't remember having such a great experience as she did. And it was amazing. So I inked it on June 4th. And the color that I had in here, as I said, was Rouge Grenade. I made a ink exploration from this ink, and it has, the chromatography shows that it's starting out from a gray, goes through some purples, and then goes into a wine red. That's exactly what I would call it. This is Rouge Grenade is, no, I don't know the name of the seeds, the red ones. Granatapfel. I will put it in the titles things and put it on the screen. It has a beautiful color. I was super surprised that I liked this as much as I thought I did. The ink flows really well out of this pen. The shading is lovely. It is red, I say, but not bloody. And as you can see from the writing samples down here, it's just so, it's interesting. It's not a flat red color, and it's not one that reminds me of blood like others do. If I layer up, this is usually 1, 2, 3 layers of the ink once it's dry. It doesn't take up much intensity. It's already very, very saturated in a single layer. The water test shows a lot of water resistance. It's not something that I would use as for watercoloring purposes, but it's nice to know or see. I really like what color stays. You will see other inks where there's nothing left, where the water hits the page. Yeah, this pen and ink is definitely a great, great combination. It floats so nicely from the pen. The nib is smooth, the ink seems wet. When I first wrote with it, that was, compared to some of the other inks that I write with, is a very stiff steel nib, but enjoyed a lot. Maybe we should do a heart rating, but this one is really, really nice. I enjoyed it a lot. I talked about the Jinhao X159 before as well. This is one of the cheapest pens that I have in my collection. I really inked it up with the intention of including it in a giveaway. Here's the nib. It's a fine nib. But I was so pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect to like this pen as much as I did. The nib feels as if it wasn't 100% round, which makes this super special. It feels like there is some, it's more interesting than just writing with a round tip, I would say. And this ink quickly became one of my favorite inks. Let me show you the ink exploration first before I write down what I thought about this. It's right here. And a full bottle of this ink is currently on its way to me because this is just the perfect orange ink. I don't think I will have to look for any other orange inks. The ink flows really well in the pen. The shading is phenomenal. Yeah, I said the ink is bottle worthy, and I think it as even with a really fine nib, the ink is so legible, has this interesting shading. Funnily enough, the ink chromatography isn't as interesting as other inks. And then here you can see how much color the water took away. So definitely with this pen, the ink worked really, really well. I loved it. Oh, let me check how much is left after the refill. This is, let's see, it's just a tiny bit less than half a converter left. Let's put, so if we do 2/5 maybe, 2/5 is left, and this is a big love. I had this month, or this rotation, that is what I felt about most of the pens that I used. So here's this again, really loved it. I can say that with all of the pens. Oh, well, actually, this one is the Bennu Confetti Milkshake. It is one of the newest pens in my fountain pen collection. And yes, I am, my collection is quickly growing at the moment again. I'm not really mad about that, because I'm thinking, I'm not just buying pens because I'm buying pens. I'm thinking about reasons why I need those pens, and most of the time the reasons are really good, and so I go ahead and purchase them. Yeah, so this is a Goulet exclusive. I purchased it the moment it was available on their site. I was so looking forward to it. I will say that I'm not struggling with the design, but something that is noticeable about this is that where the confettis are there, or the sprinkles, you can clearly see the clear epoxy or acrylic or whatever this is, and then also the Milkshake color, and that has some, can you see that? The way that looks, this might not be pleasurable or enjoyable for a lot of people. I like it. It's not my favorite part of the pen, but I definitely like the way this pen looks. And here is, yeah. So, the pen is lovely. I really like the shape. This is my, well, I wouldn't say favorite shape of Bennu, but this is definitely the one that works best for my hand size, my comfort level. The grip section is awesome. The nib is a medium nib. The ink that I put in here is troublesome. Let's check how much I wrote with it, even though I wasn't happy from the beginning. Wow. So now I'm really wondering, is it because it's so hot that there is a lot of ink evaporating, because it's almost empty? So how much did I put in there? 1/3 converter. So this is empty. But the color, while they look also as if they had lost some water, a little bit darker for sure. Where is it? Not here. This is the color. And I don't know what I was expecting from the color when I ordered it. I ordered this sample last September from Vanessa. Clearly, I wasn't thinking when I ordered it, because I should have known that that's what the ink would look like in a pen. It's super light, very illegible highlighter, a mix of highlighter green and highlighter yellow. Yeah, it hurts my eyes when I look at this. So yeah, that was the first mistake. So I'm glad I used it, and I'm glad I got to experience it, but it's definitely not my favorite ink. Love the shading for sure. I wish this was a little bit more dark. Water test shows there's nothing left. and that's the ink. Now the ink is also Pilot Iroshizuku ink, and we all know that those are very wet writers. The inks, they have a very wet flow, and Bennu pens are known for being very wet pens, or nibs, having very wet nibs. This was a really bad experience, and I had the same experience with a broad nib with Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukio. It just, even though I now prefer pens that are wet, where it doesn't feel like I'm dragging the pen across the paper and the ink is barely keeping up, this was too much. It just splodged onto the page. It was super wet, not enjoyable. Maybe that's a good way to put it. I want to rank those, but this one is definitely on the further end for two reasons: because of the color of the ink as well as the wet flow. It feathered on many papers because it just splattered on the page, and again, it was barely legible on most. It's like when you write and you can't really see where you're writing and what you're writing, and then you have to hold the paper to your face to actually see what you wrote. That's just not enjoyable for me. So this was not a good fountain pen ink choice for this first inking of this pen. I hope I know better next time. The next pen that I had inked, and this has been inked for a while, well, like all the others too, is the Pilot Custom 823 in amber with a medium nib. It is inked with Kobe number 34 Surakuen green tea. I still had half of the original fill left, and now I still have 1/3. So I didn't really write much with this pen. Half a fill. There is no real reason. I just knew that I was uninking other pens before I was going to unink this, and so I made sure that I would have several writing experience with those first. So that's this one. This one has a 14 karat, did I say that? 14 karat gold nib, medium, and this is the same size as this pen, this nib. This one is a number 6 nib. This one is Pilot labels them differently. This is 15. The nib sizes require a certain width of grip section for the fountain pens, and so I really enjoy pens with these nib sizes. However, I have to say that this grip section is also very comfortable. I wasn't very sure if that was going to happen, but this one is as well. Right, next. So this pen is nice. I felt sometimes that, especially because I had so many harder steel nibs in my rotation this time, this almost felt too smushy. Like there wasn't enough resistance. I don't know how to describe it. I really enjoy this pen a lot, but right now I'm really enjoying those stiffer steel nibs or steely nibs. There's another pen that is very stiff, and I like that too, and it's a gold nib. So pen and ink worked really super well with each other. I showed this ink exploration, I think, last time. I'm not even sure if I showed them at all. There we go. No, that's the wrong one. I'm so sorry. It's right here. This is definitely another one of those bottle contenders. If I purchase it, I will hope and wait for the San Francisco Pen Show. I think why I'm drawn to this darker green over other dark greens is because it's technically still a yellow green. You can see the yellow in here, even though it's so dark. Yeah, so this was definitely a favorite ink for sure. All right. Next one was maybe this one. Nope, this one. This is the Montegrappa Elmo in the marshmallow finish. Oops. And Montegrappa just came out with another pen, a different style, but the same material. And wow, it looks so, so amazing. I totally did not order that pen because I already have that material, but I would have considered ordering it. It has another number 6 steel nib. This one is a Jowo nib that is branded for Montegrappa. I love the design on the nib for sure. Did I say that it's a medium nib? It was inked with Pelikan Edelstein Apatite, which is another ink that is on my favorites list. You wouldn't be able to tell from this filling. I refilled this pen and then I just didn't write as much. I didn't journal as much as I used to in May and April, in June. And so I didn't get to use many of the pens that I had. But this one is awesome. And let me show you the, let me take this one out. So ink exploration for this one here. I wrote that it has a great wet flow in this pen, lovely shading, but still super interesting, legible too, just so good. Yeah, that's what I'm learning, is that I like legible inks that are bold, not hurting my eyes, but bold is okay, and bright, not necessarily dark. So I don't need all the dark inks, but bright and legible is awesome. This totally fit the bill. I really liked those, looks like cauliflowering, the dark blue halo that appears sometimes when the ink pools and shades right here when it was super wet. I like that a lot. So yeah, that was Pelikan Edelstein Apatite. Love this ink, love the pen, love the combination of both. This is one of the contenders. This is just, as this one is love. This one is still almost full. And then the next one feels like, the ink-wise, it's the gray sibling of the Apatite. This one is another Bennu Euphoria. As I said, I really love this pen. This nib size is fine. And every time I used this pen, I realized that I really do also like fine nibs. I love, especially wet fine nibs. I love when I have these crisp fine lines. That makes my handwriting very legible. And I don't have to work so hard at a legible handwriting as with medium and broad nibs. But yeah, and especially with this nib. What else? The ink is, as I said, seems like the darker, less exciting version of Apatite. I haven't even written here yet. No, there is no ink on this paper left. Yeah, when you look at the chromatography, you can see that it's not similar. This one has a little bit more red in there, or purples, darker grays, purple leaning grays, red leaning grays, not sure. And then this is a different base color in the green, as it seems. Not sure. That's my interpretation of these chromatography strips, at least. The pen and ink were definitely a good match, especially when I compare it to this Euphoria. I should remember that I need to put average or rather dry inks into this pen. I don't necessarily would know if the Robert Oster Morning Mist was a dry ink. My personal experience with Robert Oster inks is that they are more on the dry side, so that could be a reason why this worked much better than the Iroshizuku inks. I just need to stop using Iroshizuku inks. This one was definitely not love, but it was nice. And I definitely enjoyed it every time I used it. So let me show you what is left in here. Yeah, this is also, there's nothing left. It's like empty. That's why I need to film this video, because I really need to ink up some pens, clean out some pens and ink up some pens. Empty. Didn't know the situation was this dire when I started filming the video though. And then this one, I think I talked about this last time as well. This is a Platinum 3776 in black with rhodium trim. And if you look really closely, you can see that it is translucent. It's not a demonstrator because you can't really see anything, but it is translucent. This was the surprise pen of the month for sure. I swapped this pen with my friend Chelsea from Those With Words. She has my Laurel Green medium nibbed Platinum 3776 now. And this pen made me reconsider all of my negative thoughts that I had about broad nibs. I'm super grateful for that. I have written this dry. Awesome. Lovely. I probably wouldn't rank it as high as these two, but this one was definitely good. This one is empty. I just dipped it so I could write with it. The ink, again, was another surprise to me. This is another J. Urban ink, and it makes me wonder if I should explore Urban inks more, because I'm really enjoying those inks every time I put them in a pen at the moment. So this is just a regular blue-black. It's called Bleu des Profondeurs. I love this ink and surprised myself. Such a wet and reliable legible writer. And that's what legible. It's not boring, and that's what I liked too. I definitely liked how it would, it's not flat. It was interesting, and I really enjoy those. Is it golden sheen, but only when it's really, really, really saturated. Okay, next one. 2 more to go, and then we're done. I thought this was going to be a short video, and I'm not going to talk about this one. Next one is another Platinum 3776. This is the Shape of Heart fountain pen. I won this in a giveaway from Luxury Brands. And that's the reason why I swapped ink pens, because this one has a medium nib. It's a rose gold medium nib. And I thought I don't need 2 of the same. So I was looking for someone who would want a medium nib and swap a broad. Far-fetched, but I found someone. There is 2 hearts in here that I currently cannot find, but it's just such a perfect pen. I really enjoy all the Platinums 3776s that I have used. My friend Mar has an ultra extra fine, and I actually can write with that as well. So I'm in love with Platinum 3776s. And what I really enjoyed, and I alluded to this earlier, I really enjoyed the stiff gold nibs, which I wasn't sure I would like, but this just is so much fun to write with. It was inked with Papier Plume Desire, which is a purple. It has some kind of tint to it, so it's not as bright. It's similar to this one. I think it also has some gray inside. Let's find out. Nope, not this one. Wow, when did I here? No, there we go. Nope, no gray, but it looks gray. Many of the inks from Papier Plume that I have used so far, they always have this gray tinge to them. So this is a magenta-y purple, purpley magenta, which was really wet in the pen, which I totally enjoyed. It has amazing shading. I previously had it inked in the TWSBI VAC 700R, which I did not like as much because it put down so much ink that you couldn't differentiate. It wasn't as interesting then in that pen. And yeah, so this was nice. I think I would probably enjoy it more with a different color. This one is empty as well. Yeah, I told you I need to swap my inks empty. So I must have written with this quite a lot because I had 2/3 of a converter left. That's interesting too. So this one was nice, but definitely not as perfect as other ones. But that's not because I don't like this pen. It's just because this month was just so awesome. Last one I have in this rotation is my newest edition. It's the Bennu Ambrosia brown orchid with a fine nib. This one, in contrast to the other ones, is a fine nib with a number 5 nib, and compared to the others, it doesn't have a breather hole. Now I have to check. Does this one have one? I would assume yes. This one doesn't have a breather hole, which makes it looks like something is missing. I had quite an experience with this one. The first nib that they sent me didn't have tipping on it. So I, in the meantime, purchased a medium nib, which I enjoyed a lot. And then this came in and it was definitely a different experience. This pen is so exuberant, very fun. It is a fine number 5 nib. It's not as wet as the number 6 fine nib that I have in this pen. And it's also definitely less wet than the medium nib that I had on here. The ink is a very bold, bright purple. And as you know, I love those colors at the moment. So here is that. There's lots of blue here and then some purple up here. Another one with gold sheen if you have high saturated applications here. I like it, but I'm not sure that it's the purple that I would gravitate towards because there is not really a lot of shading. It's just purple. And I wish I had an ink that was like this, but with some more interesting parts in it. If you have one, suggest it. Yeah, I loved this. Every time I used this, I was super happy because it just feels... Every time I use it, I'm like, this cannot be a pen that works well. And then it surprises me because it does. It's just so different, and this makes this pen so much fun. So let's check the ink cartridge as well. There is a third of the ink left. Wow, I made a lot of headway on my writing this month. I thought I didn't write a lot. 1/3 cartridge. And yes, I will, those pens that I'm not carrying over, I will just dump and not feel guilty. I have the Lamy All-Star bronze on here. I wrote this and I already noticed that it wasn't really writing well, and then I was going to write something else and it was empty. So I did not use this pen once in June, so I do not include it in this list. I have this pen as well. It is in my pen case. My friend Amy borrowed this pen to me, already filled with Ink Institute Tang Hulu. It is a fine TWSBI Diamond 580 with the red aluminum finish here. It's the slippery kind, not the one that has grooves. I just want to see if I still remember this pen correctly. If you recall, I talked about this quite a bit recently, that I wasn't sure if I would still feel the same about this pen. Spoiler alert, yes. I will unink this and actually really use it in the month of July. So let me sort these pens, and you might be surprised at how I am ranking these at this month, because it's not what it was last month. I think, whoa, this is interesting. Is this the right place for this pen? Yes. Is this the right space for this pen? Yeah. Okay. Yes. This is the order that I'm ranking them in, and I am going to give a... This is definitely number 1 for me this month. This is the winner. I am really super sad to unink this. Maybe I'll just carry it over because there's so much ink in there as well. Not sure. We'll see. This is number 2. I just love the ink. I love the writing experience with this. And then, unfortunately, or it's fine. All of them were really great. I have a hard time deciding this month for sure. Is the Pilot Custom 823. This one, I hope it still writes, is number 4. I just really loved the broad nib on this pen. And then this one is number 5, along with the Bennu Ambrosia. I liked, or the reason why I did not put this before or after is that I don't really like the way this pen looks. It's not one that I'm drawn to when I look into my pen case, but I really loved the writing experience and the ink with this. But this one I love. Every time I look in my pen case, I'm drawn to using this because it's just so pretty. I love the ink color. The purple is awesome. I loved the writing experience with the medium nib. And you can see this is still a really wet pen, even though it's a fine nib. Even though I say it's drier, it's just drier than the medium nib. And so if I hadn't had that medium nib experience before, I probably wouldn't rank it so low. And then this one, so 6 is taken. Then this one is 7. And, you know, these are all top notch. Like, it starts going really downhill, 8. And then I would say then there's nothing for a long time. And then this one comes in as number 9, but everybody else has gone home. And this one is still coughing and breathing really, really hard. Awesome. I am so looking forward to emptying out these pens. I didn't realize that I was so close to finishing them. So I can actually just turn off the video, empty them out and fill up some new ones. My thoughts were to move over this pen, as well as this pen into my currently inked rotation for the month of July. And once these are done, I have 2 pens coming in, so I can swap them out as soon as the new pens are here. And then I will get to use these a little bit longer. And yeah, I will see you with my next currently inked video. Until then, bye.